My MBA made a huge difference in my career growth in commercial real estate, and I can honestly say that I wouldn't be where I am today without that experience. But not everyone has to go back to school to find success in this industry, and I would even say that in some cases, grad school can actually be detrimental. So in this video, I want to walk through 3 scenarios where it can make a lot of sense to go back to school and some reasons why you might want to forego grad school altogether and skip out on an advanced degree. So the first situation where going back to school can be a huge benefit is when you're trying to make a major move geographically without an existing network in the city you want to relocate to. When I was considering grad school myself, I was laser focused on living and working in Southern California, but as someone who was working in a small, sleepy college town in Arizona at the time, it would have been really challenging to make the move on my own. But by going to grad school and living in Orange County for almost 2 years, I was able to get plugged in with some of the biggest and most reputable commercial real estate firms in the market, and I had almost a 2-year window where I could really focus on building relationships with local industry professionals without having a ton of pressure on me to land a job immediately. And if at all possible for you, I highly recommend choosing a grad school that has a very strong alumni network in the city you want to work in, or ideally, the school is physically located in the city you want to work in, meaning that a school like NYU could be a great option if you want to be in New York, USC could be your best bet if you want to be in LA, and Georgetown might be the best fit if you want to end up in DC. The goal should be to find a program that can help you get connected with the companies and individuals that are most active in the real estate markets that you want to live and work in. And the more university alumni you can find that are working in your target city, the more you're typically going to get out of a graduate school experience. Now, the next situation where I've seen going back to school make a lot of sense is when you're looking to make a career pivot into commercial real estate, but you want to minimize the pay cut you'd have to take when making that switch. If you've already spent 3 to 5 years or more in a different industry and you've seen some success on that path, you might already be making good money, and it can be tough to think about the prospect of having to take a step back and start from the beginning. But in a lot of cases, if you go back to school for an MBA or master's in real estate, you may be able to land a job after graduation at a senior analyst or even associate level pay grade, and this is especially true for people coming from related fields like investment banking, corporate finance, accounting, or architecture. What I also really like about grad school for people that are new to the industry, or even people that have real estate experience but aren't quite sure where they want to focus long term, is that in a lot of ways, grad school allows you to sample different parts of the real estate business in a very low risk way and ultimately figure out where you fit in best. Most graduate school programs will expose you to things like site visits, where you'll see the inner workings of acquisitions or development projects or entire real estate operating companies. And grad school will also give you the time and space to be able to explore different career paths on your own through internships you take on, where the expectation for you will primarily be to learn. And even though I personally had real estate experience going into grad school, this is exactly what I use this time for, taking on internships, working in real estate private equity, investment sales, and lending to figure out what I ultimately wanted to go all in on after graduation. The bottom line is that internships can be a great opportunity to get your foot in the door at top companies in the industry as a very low risk, low commitment hire, which can help you get a brand name company on your resume before you even start the process of applying for full-time jobs. Now, the third situation where going back to school can be a really smart move is when transaction activity is low in the industry and the job market is tight. When companies slow down their hiring in this industry, the job search process can take a lot longer than it typically would in more normalized market conditions. And even if you're already working in commercial real estate, your commissions or bonus checks will usually drop significantly during this time. And this means that your opportunity cost of going back to school during a downturn will be the lowest it could ever be throughout your entire career, and leaving the workforce for a few years usually won't end up hurting you when companies pull back. And again, similar to what I mentioned about internships, when companies are hesitant to hire expensive full-time talent, a part-time intern with a fixed end date tends to be a much more attractive option, especially to companies that are looking to grow but don't necessarily have the budget to expand their headcount. And when you do end up landing an internship, when transaction activity finally starts to ramp back up again, the company you're working for will probably need some more full-time help. And if you've done good work and built trust with your employer during that time, you will often be the first person they turn to fill an open position. And while you obviously won't be able to know how long a downturn might last, chances are that if you start a 1 to 2 year grad school program at the time when transaction activity is at its lowest, you'll very likely be coming out of school when things are starting to recover, which means there could be a lot of open positions that need to be filled quickly when you're ready to take on a full-time opportunity. Now, with all of that said, there are also a few situations where I see grad school as something that isn't necessary or really even beneficial in some cases, and this can just end up being a drain on your time and money that could otherwise be spent more productively. And the first situation is when you're already working in commercial real estate, the market is steady, and you just want to work for a different firm or land a different role within the same city. In most cases, this can be accomplished by spending that time and money that you would have spent on school, joining real estate industry organizations, and attending local networking events, since these will typically give you the opportunity to build the relationships that you'll need to make your next career move. I would also say that if you're just going to school for the credentials alone, either through a fully online program or a general MBA program without a strong real estate alumni base, this also usually won't be the best use of your time and money, since the networking you're able to do in-person real estate specific programs is usually going to be the biggest benefit that you'll get from going the grad school route. I also wouldn't recommend going back to school if your main goal is to learn the technical skills you need to make it through the interview process at commercial real estate firms or perform on a day-to-day basis in an analyst or associate role, since even the top schools in the country with strong real estate programs typically go to third-party educational providers to give their students access to this type of training, most of which you could buy on your own without an advanced degree. Overall, graduate school was definitely the right fit for me in hindsight, but it isn't necessarily the right fit for everyone, and I hope this information is helpful if this is something you're considering. And regardless of whether you decide to go back to school or not, if you want to make sure you have the technical skills that you'll need to pass an Excel modeling exam that might be given to you during the interview process, or hit the ground running in an analyst or associate role at a commercial real estate firm, make sure to check out our all-in-one membership training platform, Breaking a CRE Academy. A membership to the Academy will give you instant access to over 120 hours of video training on real estate financial modeling and analysis. You'll get access to hundreds of practice Excel interview exam questions, sample acquisition case studies, and you'll also get access to the Breaking a CRE Analyst Certification exam, which covers topics like real estate pro forma and development modeling, commercial real estate lease modeling, equity waterfall modeling, and many other real estate financial analysis concepts that will help you prove to employers that you have what it takes to tackle the responsibilities of an analyst or associate at a top real estate firm. And if you like this video and want to see more content on real estate grad school options, make sure to hit the like button and let me know. And let me know in the comments what other questions you have about advanced degrees in this industry or any other topics related to this that you'd like to see covered in more detail. As always, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you found this helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more videos like this every single week, and I'll see you in the next video.